Hello friends, this is Anuj and this tutorial is about CakePHP. CakePHP is a framework built on PHP language that is used for web development and web applications. Okay, so this is the first tutorial in the playlist of CakePHP, and in this tutorial we are going to talk about what is basically CakePHP. Before starting installation and before building our application, let's see what is CakePHP. So the first question is, why CakePHP? CakePHP because CakePHP is based on MVC framework. MVC is the model view controller framework. Okay, and the second is the dry means don't repeat yourself, means you have to write your code only once and you can use it as many times as you want in your application. You don't have to write the same code again and again. ORM is related to the database and the database connectivity, how we are retrieving data from the database. Okay, so the basic features of CakePHP. The first one is the model view controller architecture. CakePHP is built on model view controller architecture. This architecture is now being used to build web applications. There are many MVC frameworks that works on PHP like Code Igniter, and CakePHP is also kind of this. CakePHP is used by most of the developers. Okay. It supports application scaffolding, code generation via bake. We will learn it later what is bake. Okay, it has helpers for HTML, forms, pagination, jacks, all the type. Okay. So it has routers for mapping URLs and handling extensions. Okay. Security, session, request handler, components. So what is Cake and why? CakePHP is free and it is an open source framework on CakePHP. It is a rapid development framework based around MVC methodology, templating, helpers, components, in short, usable code, built-in email, cookie, security, session and request handling components, and caching. So what is model view controller? The CakePHP is separated in three sections. The first section is the model, which represents the application data, means the model represents what data the application has to show, and this is the connector between, we can say this is a connector between our application and our database. All the fields data retrieved from the database are handled by model. View renders a presentation of the model data. Whatever data we are fetching from database, the view is the representation of the data, how the data will be represented to the user. Controller handles the routes requests made by the client. It's the logical part of the CakePHP application, which handles all the logics going behind our application. This is the layout of Cake MVC framework. Here it is model, it's connected to MySQL database. This is view and this is controller. The view is operated by the user. When user makes a request to the controller, okay, the controller routes to model and it fetches data from database and then it shows back to view. Basic principles of CakePHP. The first principle is conventions. Yes, CakePHP followed strictly naming convention. If we follow the naming convention that is supported by CakePHP, then building CakePHP applications will be more easy and more convenient. Okay, it has many extensions like controller extensions that we will create to logically handle the data. View extensions that will be the representation section that will be represented to the user, and the user will interact to this view extension. Model extensions, as we have already talked about this, that model extensions handles the behavior and the data that is fetched from the database. It has elements like CSS, HTML, JavaScript. So how it does work? The Cake PHP application URL will look like this. Okay, the first part is the domain name on which our Cake PHP application will be hosting. Second part, separated by a slash after the domain name, will be the name of controller which handles all the logic. The third is the action. Action is a function in the controller that will handle all the requests and all the logics that are assigned to that action. And the last is the params or the parameters. They are the parameters that are passed to the action to take action. Like if we have an application in which we have to view a user whose ID is 5. Okay, so the application will look like our domain name slash users, that is the controller, slash view will be the action, slash 5 will be the parameter, that is the user's ID, which is passing to the view action of user's controller. So let's talk about bake. What is bake? The CakePHP bake console can create any of CakePHP basic ingredients, model, view and controllers. Yes, bake is a console, but CakePHP is a terminal command that we will use to write our code itself without writing even a single code or a single line of the code. It will bake the basic codes that we are required in our application, which we can use to enhance our application later. Okay. You can see here, and I'm not just talking about skeleton classes. Bake can create a fully functional application in just a few minutes. We will use it later, so we will have a better understanding of bake when we will work on an application. This is the basic use of cake, how we will use the cake. In order to use the bake, relocate the cake bash script in a path and make it executable. We will do it later in our application, so we will talk about it later. This is the database. Okay, so before working on any CakePHP framework, as I already told you that we need to strictly follow the naming convention. Okay, so the naming convention is most important part of the database designing. If we have followed the proper naming convention in our database designing, then CakePHP will do all the work for us. We don't have to do anything. CakePHP will do all the logics and all the magics behind our application. So how should we design our CakePHP database? For a CakePHP application, every table must be plural. Okay, and it must start with a small letter, means all the letters will be small. Okay, and it will be plural if our table name consists of 2 words like user address. Okay, this contains two words, user and address. So this table the 2 words will be separated by an underscore, that is user underscore addresses, not addresses, because this is the plural. Okay, every table must have id attribute or or id column. Okay, name will be the column which will be used later. Id must be int, and which will work as a primary key. If we want a UUID, okay, then we will make it data type as char of size 36. So we will talk about it later. Now uh, the naming convention for the attributes will be, the name of the attributes will be small letter, and if the attribute name is having two words, okay, like here this is category id, then each word will be separated by an underscore, okay. And the attribute name must be a singular word, it cannot be plural like the table name, it must be a singular word, okay. And if a foreign key we are using in a table that is referencing to any other table, then that foreign key will be named after the table name. Like uh, here we have categories table, okay, and in this table jobs we have a column named category id. So this category id is basically the foreign key that is referencing to this category, okay. So how we will name the foreign key, the name of the foreign key will be the singular form of the table of which we are referencing, or the primary foreign key is going to reference the table, the singular name of that table, underscore and id is the primary key of that particular table. So this is how we will name our foreign key in any table, okay. Foreign key will be the singular form of the table underscore id, okay. And all of the attributes and the table names will be in smaller case, and if they are consisting of two words, then each word must be separated with underscore. Camel case words must not be used, and the name of the table must be plural, and the name of the attribute must be similar. So this is all about how we will bake our code. We will do it later. Okay. This is the layout of typical request that is processed in a CakePHP application. This part we are seeing here is the view, okay. The user will interact with the view, and rest of the code will be behind the application. So when a user or a client makes a request, okay, you can see here is the client, dispatcher, routes, controller. The client will make a request to the controller. Controller will fetch data from model, okay, and it will after performing all the logic behind the data, it will give it back to the view, which is again used by the client. This is how controller pass argument to model. We will learn it more about it in later tutorial videos. We have some built-in helpers in CakePHP, and there are Ajax, we can use Ajax script. There are cache, we can use cache memory. Form, the form handling is very much easy than any application. HTML, that is used for creating links and embedding images, and using CSS files, JavaScript files, and all the things. JavaScript, number, paginator, RSS, session, text time. Okay. We have some built-in components. So right now we will talk about auth, that is authorization. It will handle the login user or the authority of the user. Session will handle all the session variables that are stored for a particular time, or if a user is logging, so that particular time whatever variable is stored, that is the session. Request handler, it will request all the handles. Security, okay. It consists of hashing, our password will be hashed, email and cookie. So directory structure, okay. CakePHP directory, when we install CakePHP, we will have some directories automatically created and some files in it. The first directory is the config, which contains all the configuration files like database connectivity, bootstrap, core files, root, etc. Controllers directory or controllers folder will contain all the controller files for our application, which will be logically performing action on our model will contain all the model files which will interact with the database. Okay. Temp, this is where CakePHP stores temporary data. Okay. It's a this temp directory is for storing data temporary by CakePHP application, and we will have a view what the user sees, means what the components with which the user will interact will be in the views folder, and webhook will contains the CSS, JavaScript, Flash, etc, and other files that will other media files that will be using in our application. Resources. So if you want to learn more about CakePHP, then you can visit the book.cakephp.org, which is the official website of CakePHP. Here you can follow tutorial like blog tutorial and bookmarking tutorial to better understand CakePHP. So this is all about CakePHP. In our next tutorial we will learn about how to install CakePHP. Then we will go through the installation of CakePHP. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you like the videos, and to get updated please subscribe my channel. Thank you.